So hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the Robert Koch postulates. It's a very important question for your semester exam. So they will ask you in either 5 marks or 10 marks. So you will be asked to write about Robert Koch postulates, or they might ask you like what is the contribution of Robert Koch. So he is a German physician and a pathologist, and he was awarded a Nobel Prize in 1905 for his research in tuberculosis. He identified the causative agent of tuberculosis. So causative agent is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So there is a correction here which I have sent it already. So he identified the causative agent of tuberculosis. It is also called as tubercle bacillus, and for the spelling for Mycobacterium tuberculosis is Mycobacterium, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. He also identified a tuberculin. It is a protein derived from the organism Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So it is called as tuberculin. It is a protein derived from the bacteria Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So he also identified the causative agent of cholera. It is not cholera, it is cholera. So causative agent is Vibrio cholerae, that is VIBRIO, Vibrio cholerae, CHOLERAE. So Vibrio cholerae. So Mycobacterium tuberculosis was identified in 1882, and Vibrio cholerae was identified in 1883. He also studied the life cycle of Anthrax bacillus. So there is a bacteria called Bacillus anthracis. It causes anthrax. So for the it is Bacillus anthracis. The name of the bacteria is Bacillus anthracis. That is BACILLUS, Bacillus anthracis, ANTHRACIS. So when you write the name of the bacteria, the first name of the bacteria, that is the genus name, should be in capital letter. The species name, the first letter of the species name should be in small letter. So it is if it is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Mycobacterium, it is a genus, tuberculosis, it is a species. Okay, so this is the diagram for to explain about the Robert Koch postulates. First we will discuss what is the Koch postulates, then we will look on to the diagram. So the postulates, it goes like this. So the microorganism must be found in abundance in all organisms suffering from the disease, but should not be found in healthy organisms. So his postulates, the uh, we can say like rules. So what is the rules of Robert Koch? So what is the rules? So microorganisms must be found in abundance in all organisms suffering from the disease, but should not be found in healthy organisms. So the microorganism must be isolated from a diseased organism and can be grown in a pure culture. So the person suffering from a disease should be uh, so when you isolate a specimen or a sample from the diseased person, the microorganism should be present in abundance, and it should be isolated from the diseased that is from the affected person, and it should be grown in a pure culture. Pure culture is nothing but, so the organism, so the culture is nothing but like we have to grow the microorganism in a culture is nothing but a food for the bacteria. We have special different cultures for different bacteria, so we have to isolate it and grow it in a pure culture. Pure culture is nothing but that culture should contain only one organism. It should not be contaminated by the other organisms. And next is the cultured microorganism should cause disease when introduced into a healthy animal. So the cultured organism, when you grow the bacteria in pure culture, and when you isolate it, and when you introduce into the inject into the healthy organisms or animal, so that person should like that microorganism should cause the same disease. Next is the microorganism must be isolated from the inoculated diseased experimental host and identified as being identical to the original specific causative agent. So when you inoculate that culture into the healthy animal, and that that microorganism, the same microorganism should be isolated from the diseased experimental animal, and it should be identical to the causative agent. So he also gave a germ theory of disease. Robert Koch, he also gave, I have added one more point here. He also gave germ theory of disease, which states that infectious diseases are caused by microbes. So this is the beginning of the microbiology. So microbiology, how microorganisms or how microbiology began in those days. So these are the scientists, they experimentally proved this is how the organism causes disease. So we'll discuss this. So first they have taken that Robert Koch has taken two mice. One is diseased, that is infected by the bacteria, and the other one is healthy, which is not infected or anything. So first what he did, he took the sample. For example, we can take sample as anything like blood or urine or a swab from throat or nasal swab, we can take it. So he took a sample from the diseased animal and also from the healthy animal, and when he saw the organism, when he saw the sample in under the microscope, he can see the suspected pathogen and the red blood cell. For in mice, we can see only the red blood cell, there is no pathogen. What he did was he isolated or he inoculated the bacteria, that is culture, into the petri plate. The round thing is nothing but a petri plate. I'll show you how a petri plate looks like, and test tube, petri plates, and flask and microscope. So first you just like what he did was he took the culture and he isolated, he cultured into the culture media. It is in the petri plate we have to provide food for the organism, and we have to just swab it on the culture. So after like 24 hours, we can see the growth of the bacteria on the culture. So I have written here culture sample from diseased or healthy animals. So we have cultured the sample from the diseased and from the healthy animal, and in the this diseased animal we can see a cultured pathogen, and in the healthy animal there is no pathogen present. So what he did after that, what he did was again the same culture, we have to take the growth of the bacteria, again see it under the microscope. When you see it under the microscope, you should have the same suspected pathogen. Again, when you culture it in the culture media, the same growth should be the growth of the organism should be present, and it should be identical. Both the culture and the sample, when you see it under the microscope, it should be identical. Inoculate healthy animal with suspected pathogen here. So first is diseased animal, healthy animal. So we have to take the sample, observe it under the microscope, and in diseased animal you can see a suspected pathogen and the red blood cell, and in healthy animal we can see only the red blood cell. And you have to culture the sample in the culture media, that is culture in the petri plate, where we have to provide food, that is culture for the bacteria, and again you have to check the growth of the bacteria, see it under the microscope, and you have to see the same suspected pathogen. Again we have to culture it and the growth of the bacteria, and it should be identical. So that's it. This is the Robert Koch postulates. Most probably you will get only in 5 marks. So let's discuss about spontaneous generation. So already we have discussed about the spontaneous generation. Spontaneous generation is nothing but the formation of life from non-living substances is called as spontaneous generation, or it is also called as biogenesis. So Aristotle, in 384 to 322 BC, he suggested that maggots develop spontaneously in decaying matter. So they suggested, or they thought, that the maggots, that is flies, they develop spontaneously in decaying matter. Like what they thought was frogs came from the mud, and mice arose from the sweaty clothes, and the flies came from the decaying matter. So that is their thought. So this theory of spontaneous generation was disproved by Francisco Redi, Lazzaro Spallanzani, and Louis Pasteur. They did many experiments and they proved that the microorganism cannot arise spontaneously from decaying meat or flesh. So they can be arise, that is worms or microorganism, they can develop from the decaying flesh only from the eggs and spores already deposited by the insects. And when the decaying meat or flesh is sealed from the external agents, life cannot appear spontaneously. So Louis Pasteur and others disproved the theory of spontaneous generation, and they argued that life originated from pre-existing life only. This concept is called as biogenesis. So Lazzaro Spallanzani, he did an experiment to disprove the spontaneous generation. So what he did was, he put a broth in a flask, sealed the flask so that no air could get in, and boiled it. So what he did was, he put a broth is nothing but a meat soup. So he boiled he took a flask, and he boiled it, and he sealed it so that no organism can get into it, or no organism can grow in that flask. So and hence spontaneous generation did not occur, and when there was no air. So what he did was, he took a flask, sealed the flask so that no air could get in, and boiled it. So he also sealed the flask and he boiled it so that no organism can enter, and the already present organism can be killed by boiling it. So the spontaneous generation did not occur, there was no flies or no growth of the organisms. So he proved that when there was no air, there is no organisms. So Francisco Redi's experiment to disprove spontaneous generation was, what he did was, he took two flasks, one is open flask and the other one is gauze covered jar. So he took decayed meat in both the flasks. The one flask was open, the other flask was covered by a gauze. So what happened was, in that open jar, there we can see there was a flies, and in the gauze covered jar we can see only the flies on top of the gauze, and there was no flies or no growth. So flies entered and laid in that open jar. Flies entered and laid eggs that hatched maggots. And gauze covered jar, no flies entered, but they laid eggs on the gauze that hatched maggots. So hence there was formation of maggots in meat in open jar, and no formation of maggots in meat on gauze covered jar. And he also took a sealed jar, so no flies or no maggots or eggs could enter. So there was no formation of maggots in meat. Next is Louis Pasteur. So what he is as I told you earlier, he is the father of medical microbiology. So there was three founder of microbiology. One is Anton van Leeuwenhoek, Louis Pasteur, and Robert Koch. So Louis Pasteur, what he is the father of medical microbiology. His experiment was done in swan neck flask. So he made a swan neck flask. So he pointed that no growth took place in swan neck shaped tube because dust and germs was trapped on the walls of the curved neck tubes. So in 1859, he in 1859 suggested that mild heating at 62.8 degrees Celsius or 145 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes uh, boiling was enough to destroy the microorganism. This process is called as pasteurization. So he gave a method called pasteurization. He suggested that mild heating of anything for 62.8 degrees Celsius or 145 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes is enough to destroy the microorganism, and he named this process as pasteurization. So pasteurization was used to prevent the spoilage of beer and wine by microbes. He invented the process of pasteurization, fermentation. He also developed vaccines like for anthrax and rabies. He also demonstrated that the diseases of silkworm was due to a protozoan parasite, and he disproved the theory of spontaneous generation. So what he did was he took three flasks, that is swan neck flask. The two flasks was just a normal flask. The other flask was swan necked. So all the three flasks was it was boiled. All the three flasks was boiled. So in that open flask, he allowed the air to enter, and any bacteria present in the air could enter in the open flask. And he had a broth, that is broth is nothing but a soup for the growth of the bacteria. And the next flask was only cotton plugged, and the cotton plug can filter bacteria from the air, which by entering that will prevent the air to enter the flask. Next one is swan neck. So bacteria in that swan neck, bacteria were removed from the air entering the flask by settling in the long neck. So it was trapped in the swan neck flask. So here in that open flask, it was contaminated with bacteria, and in the cotton plug the broth was sterile, and in the swan neck it was sterile because the organism was trapped in the swan neck. And now we have difference between spontaneous generation and biogenesis. Spontaneous generation says that living things come from non-living things, and biogenesis suggested that living things can arise only from pre-existing living things. So spontaneous generation suggested there was a vital power that gives rise to microorganism. Biogenesis suggested that microorganism arise only from the pre-existing living cells. So let's talk about the conclusion. So through a lot of inventions and experiment, it was suggested that all living things come from pre-existing cell only, whereas spontaneous generation did not. So experiments held by different scientists proved that biogenesis is the reason for the generation of life. So this is the 10 mark, very important 10 mark for you. For that is spontaneous generation is very important. And Lazzaro Spallanzani, he demonstrated that air carried germs to the culture medium. He showed that boiled broth would not give rise to the microscopic forms of life. It is a 2 mark. They might ask you in 2 marks, like what is the contribution of Anton van Leeuwenhoek, contribution of Robert Koch, contribution of Lazzaro Spallanzani, and contribution of Francisco Reddy. They might ask you like this in 2 marks. You have to know about all these scientists. So we have discussed today, we have discussed Robert Koch and spontaneous generation, and I have given you some definitions, very important definitions. So Ramya has written very clearly, so I have uploaded that in Google Classroom. So what is sterilization? It is the process by which all forms of microbial life, that is viruses, bacteria, spores and fungi, from surface, medium, instruments, are destroyed by various physical and chemical methods. It is a process of killing or removing microorganisms from a product to ensure that it is sterile. So sterile is nothing but free from any living organisms. So sterilization, it is the process by which all forms of microbial life, that is viruses, bacteria, spores and fungi, from surface, medium, instruments, are destroyed by various physical and chemical methods. It is a process of killing or removing microorganisms from a product to ensure that it is sterile. Sterile is nothing but free from any living organisms. Next is fermentation. Fermentation, it is a metabolic process in which a substance broke down into simpler substance break down into a simpler substances. So complex substances can be break down into a simpler substances. For example, an organism converts a carbohydrate such as starch or sugar into an alcohol or acid. So microorganisms like bacteria and yeast usually play a role in the fermentation process. So fermented products are beer, wine, yogurt and cheese. So fermentation, it is nothing but it is a metabolic process in which a substance complex substance is break down into simpler substances. An organism converts a carbohydrate such as starch, sugar into an alcohol or acid. So bacteria and yeast usually play a role in the fermentation process. Fermented products are beer, wine, yogurt and cheese. Pasteurization, it is a partial sterilization of substance, and especially a liquid such as milk, at a temperature usually less than 100 degrees Celsius, that is 212 degree Fahrenheit, and for a period of exposure that destroys microorganism without major chemical alteration of the substances. Pasteurization, it is a food processing method where a mild heat treatment is applied to a food to kill harmful bacteria and extend shelf life. Tyndallization, it is a method of sterilization proposed by John Tyndall. It is also known as fractional sterilization. It can be used to kill heat resistant endospores. This method involves steaming liquids and food products at 100 degrees Celsius on several successive occasions, or heating them on 3 or 4 occasions to temperatures of 100 to 120 degrees Celsius with an interval of 24 hours between occasions. So Tyndallization, it is also known as fractional sterilization. You have to sterile and we have to give some time in between. So these are the 4 important definitions you need to know, and you might get in 2 marks. So thank you so much. So today we discussed Robert Koch postulates, spontaneous generation, and these 4 definitions, that is sterilization, fermentation, pasteurization and Tyndallization. When you write in when you write it in your exams, you have to write everything in points. So even this 2 mark, you have to write it in points. Make it in points, only then it will be clear and you will get more marks. So thank you so much, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me in WhatsApp group, or you can ask in Google Classroom. Thank you so much.